Roller coaster task number 2, researching Sir Isaac Newton. Please click on this link to follow along with me as I read it out loud. Isaac Newton. His occupation, scientist, mathematician, and astronomer. Born January 4th, 1643 in Woolsthorpe, England. Died on March 31st, 1727 in London, England. He was best known for defining the 3 laws of motion and universal gravitation. Biography. Isaac Newton is considered one of the most important scientists in history. Even Albert Einstein said that Isaac Newton was the smartest person that ever lived. During his lifetime, Newton developed the theory of gravity, the laws of motion, which became the basis for physics, a new type of mathematics called calculus, and made breakthroughs in the area of optics, such as the reflecting telescope. Early life. Isaac Newton was born in Woolsthorpe, England on January 4th, 1643. His father, a farmer who was also named Isaac Newton, had died 3 months before his birth. His mother remarried when Isaac was 3 years old and left young Isaac in the care of his grandparents. Isaac attended school where he was an adequate student. At one point, his mother tried to take him out of school so he could help him on the farm, but Isaac had no interest in becoming a farmer and was soon back at school. Isaac grew up mostly alone. For the rest of his life, he would prefer to work and live alone, focused on his writing and his studies. College and career. In 1661, Isaac began to attend college at Cambridge. He would spend much of his life at Cambridge, becoming a professor of mathematics and a fellow of the Royal Society, a group of scientists in England. He eventually was elected to represent Cambridge University as a member of Parliament. Isaac had to leave Cambridge from 1665 to 1667 because of the Great Plague. He spent these 2 years in study and isolation at his home in Woolsthorpe, developing his theories on calculus, gravity, and the laws of motion. In 1696, Newton became the warden at the Royal Mint in London. He took his duties seriously and tried to get rid of corruption, as well as to reform the currency of England. He was elected president of the Royal Society in 1703 and was knighted by Queen Anne in 1705. The Principia. In 1687, Newton published the most important work called the Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, which means mathematical principles of natural philosophy. In this work, he described the 3 laws of motion as well as the law of universal gravity. This work would go down as one of the most important works in the history of science. It's not only introduced the theory of gravity, but defined the principles of modern physics. Scientific discoveries. Isaac Newton made many scientific discoveries and inventions throughout his career. Here is a list of some of the most important and famous ones. Gravity. Newton is probably most famous for discovering gravity. Outlined in the Principia, his theory about gravity helped to explain the movements of the planets and the sun. This theory is known today as Newton's law of universal gravitation. The laws of motion. Newton's laws of motion were 3 fundamental laws of physics that laid the foundation for classical mechanics. Calculus. Newton invented a whole new type of mathematics, which he called fluxions. Today we call this math calculus, and it's an important type of math used in advanced engineering and science. And the reflecting telescope. In 1668, Newton invented the reflecting telescope. This type of telescope uses mirrors to reflect light and form an image. Nearly all of the major telescopes used in astronomy today are reflecting telescopes. His legacy. Newton died on March 31st, 1727 in London, England. Today he's considered one of the most influential scientists of all time, alongside greats such as Albert Einstein, Aristotle, and Galileo. Interesting facts about Isaac Newton. He studied many classic philosophers and astronomers such as Aristotle, Copernicus, Johannes Kepler, René Descartes, and Galileo. Legend has it that Newton got his inspiration for gravity when he saw an apple fall from a tree on his farm. He wrote his thoughts down in the Principia at the urging of his friend and famous astronomer Edmund Halley. Halley even paid for the book's publication. And Newton once said of his own work, "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants."